Commence primary ignition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VCN Transmissions. My name is Colin, and today, before we get started, we have a special guest. He knows everything about the movie Obsession. He loves it. It's his favorite thing in the world right now. We got Noah Maurer on the show. What's up, man?
Glad to be here. Super excited. First time on, first time guest, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah. We were just talking about the film Obsession the other day, and I still haven't seen it.
That's a shame. You're missing out.
But yeah, no, dude. We're kind of like in like this kind of standstill right now because there's nothing really major going on. But I keep saying that it's the calm before the storm because we still have 2 games coming out. We have a new anime show coming out. We have the new museum that is going to be opening up in September, and then going into next year it's going to be just left and right of just Star Wars things going on. Yeah. What is like the number one thing that you're excited for Star Wars like coming out wise?
I mean, outside of Celebration, which obviously doesn't really count as a project coming out, I think that's the number one thing, at least for me personally, just because, my God, and I've said this about 100 different times over, I know that people are going to have a lot of conflicting opinions on this, but I genuinely believe that Star Wars Celebration does not need to have a project or a new show or a new movie tied for there to be a proper celebration. And that's why I'm grateful for Rival Scum Con. That's why I'm grateful to head to that for the first time. And I really think for a first-time attendee, this is going to surprise me. But I would love to have Star Wars Celebration every year. Just because I think, just the gathering of fans is something that, I mean, that's what makes Celebration so great. So regardless, I'm really excited to look forward, and I'm looking forward to get on that. I was 21 years old when the last Celebration was in, and by then I'll be close to 30 for this next Celebration, so I'm going to cry. It's horrible.
Hey, I will be 31, so there you go. Yeah.
But
I'm an old person now.
Outside of Celebration, I mean, I think something that we all should be a little hyped for, especially as gamers. I grew up on Racer Revenge. I grew up on all those pod racing games. So I think this one is going to fly under the radar when it releases. And I'm really sad about that. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
So they just dropped a bunch of gameplay for it because they just had a gameplay event where people actually got their hands on the game and they were playing it and everything, and we actually got to see some footage of it. And some of the devs who actually worked on Burnout of those games were actually working on this game. And when you crash and all that stuff, it's really, really cool because it's very reminiscent of what they did in Burnout. And then the environments are also super cool because it can affect your, the type of vehicle that you're driving. So if you're driving through, areas that are super hot, it can overheat your engine super quick. If you're driving in cold winter places, which there are some planets in that are like that, it can overfreeze your engines and like all that stuff. So it's super, super cool. You can customize your character. You can customize your vehicle. You can play with friends online. You can make your career. And then the other cool thing is if you are playing like in the campaign mode or like tournament mode and you're going and your vehicle like you crashed, it's not like you can just restart the game. It's very selective for each racer. But if you show like that you're like a poor racer during that match, you would have to restart that tournament from the very beginning. So if like you're at the final race, you wouldn't be able to start that race again. You would have to go all the way back to the beginning of the tournament because you would be eliminated. So it's it's very detailed, and I'm very, very excited to jump into it because I've been waiting for more games where there have been more customization and more of where you can do that. And this isn't the only game that's coming out, because at the end of August, we have Star Wars Zero Company, where you can customize your character and weapons and all that stuff, except it's a strategy game because it takes place at the end of the Clone Wars. Anakin Skywalker is in it, which is super cool. So it's just adding more to like that story. Are you excited about Zero Company at all? Like, I'm not sure what kind of games are like you think, because I know you like racing, but
yeah, it's really tough because my God, turn-based. This is turn-based, correct? Is that not what it's supposed to be?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen like official game. I've seen like different gameplay stuff in the trailer, but I'm not sure.
It's tough because turn-based style combat, or at least even chance-related combat, even, I mean, the farthest I've ever gone and accepted it and enjoyed it was the old Republic games, the original, the first two. And even though I don't really like that style of combat, the story is just so great, and so I chugged through it. But if that's the type of style for combat that they're going with, I'm not necessarily all that thrilled or hyped about it. I'm definitely going to keep an open mind towards it, but it's just not necessarily my style. I really like the more. I don't like games where the combat is kind of left up its chance. I like something that's just a little more hands-on. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm going to still give it an honest chance because it's Star Wars, no doubt. But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I think the big thing for that too, I'm excited about, is just the story, because when there's games that come, that come out, it's really cool because it's adding to the overall story of Star Wars and lore. So it's really interesting that we're diving back into the Clone Wars era, because, you know, who knows, depending on what happens in the story, it could change the way that we kind of look at the show, and there might be some overlapping stuff that that happens. So
yeah, if there's a quality story, I mean, I think honestly, regardless of the combat style or any of the gameplay mechanics, I'm going to be there if there's a legit quality story that is attached to it. So I'm excited for that, because Clone Wars, I know so many people complain about Star Wars in the aspect of that out of this massive universe and this massive timeline, we focus on this time period between the first 6 movies. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really popular for a reason. There's a lot of really great potential even within that time period. So I'm excited. I'm intrigued.
yeah. And then we have not only do we have something else happening in August, but we have Rebel Scum Con. This is my second one. This is going to be your first one, and they've got a solid, like a really solid lineup. They had a great one last year, so I wasn't surprised about the lineup this year, but it's really, really blowing me away. And then they actually just named some of the main panels that are happening. So on Friday, you have the sequel trilogy panel, you have the Andor panel. Saturday, you have the Mandalorian and Grogu panel, and then the Maul Shadow Lord panel, and then Sunday is the Acolyte and Bryce Dallas Howard panel. Now, think of these like of the main like big panels, kind of like what they have at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
The only great thing is with this is like there's not going to be a lottery system, so that's cool. But yeah, so what are you anticipating about a Rebel Scum Con? Like, what's like one of the biggest things that you're looking forward to and stuff?
So it's really, really strange. As someone who hasn't attended, and this will be my first time, I have heard nothing but positive things, especially because Dallas, when I had formerly lived in Louisiana when I was active duty Air Force, I would come to Dallas anytime I wanted to do anything positive with my life, have fun, go out, whatever. There was just none of that in Louisiana, unfortunately. And so Dallas is an area that I have a lot of great friends. I have a lot of great connections to. And everybody over the past 2 years, because I think this will be the 3rd year, correct?
Yes.
Everybody has said nothing but positive things about this convention. And so at least from what I've gathered, from what everybody has told me that I'm really excited for, is this is like a celebration where you have all these, I mean, it's a Star Wars specific convention, so it's a gathering of people like us, and that's something to be excited about just by itself. But what I'm most thrilled about is that it's an intimate experience. So it's not this massive, elaborate celebration where you have to, like, you know, plan out a year ahead. You have to go do these crazy things. There's just going to be a lot of really great people, and there's going to be a lot of really great interactions with celebrities and other people who have made the Star Wars universe real and our own. So it's going to be really cool to have a smaller, more intimate. I mean, I know it's getting bigger. I've heard it's getting massive, and it's going to continue to grow. I have no doubts. But at least in its current stage, while it's still at where it is, I'm really, really excited to see, just have an intimate experience with everyone where we can all just gather and celebrate the universe that we have.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I met some really, really great people last year, and I'm excited to go back there again this year, just knowing everything I know now and just having that of the different mindset that I had before, because I really didn't know what to expect. It's just like with San Diego Comic-Con. I went there last year for the first time, and I've got the opportunity of going again and doing press again. So now I have a different mindset, and I've got like I'm more locked in because I know what's going on. So it's so interesting after you go your first time, and then you're going in your second time. You're like, okay, so this is what happened last time. I can anticipate this, and this. So I am very excited to I'll be going to the panels, hanging out with friends, making some new friends. It's just overall, it's just gonna be a cool experience. And then for this time around, we have a decent sized like kind of friend group going. So,
that we do.
Yeah. So I think that is just going to be awesome to like just be in the vicinity of all these great people. So I am very, very excited for Rebel Scum Con. And then, in September we have the new Lucas Museum narrative art of art. And I've got to say, I am beyond excited because not only are they gonna have a bunch of it looks so good. And the different things that they're gonna have in there, it's not just like different props and like different things throughout the different films that George Lucas has worked on and stuff like that. He's had this huge collection for such a long time, and it's not just his collection. It's a collaboration through a bunch of his film friends and stuff that he's had over the years, and they've just donated to this museum. So yes, there will be Star Wars stuff, there will be Indiana Jones stuff, but there will be also different like art pieces of history in this museum, and it's just going to be so cool to see. We know that there will be a NF1 starfighter in there, like a life-size one. We know there is a General Grievous of his circle bike. I can't think of the name of it. I'm just kind of blanking on that right now, but we know that's going to be in there. We know that there will be some different props from movies such as Indiana Jones and stuff like that. So there is going to be a lot of cool stuff in there. But what's really cool to me is that it's a collaboration of just different people throughout the film industry, throughout the art community, and it's gonna be really cool to see all that stuff in one place. So are you planning on going like near launch, or like what's your plan for that?
It's tough because that was the initial plan, but my daughter's birthday falls right around near that, and that's obviously my priority. So we'll see. I will definitely 100% be making a trip out to see that, whether it's by itself or before, I tie it in with Celebration. Doesn't matter. But this museum is something I'm extremely excited for. As someone that's going into film that wants to pursue that career. My desires and knowledge expand outside of just Star Wars, and so I'm really excited to obviously see the Star Wars props, but to see everything else narratively, art-wise, it's compiled in the museum. I'm super excited. I will say it's extremely funny. I will say that everyone, in fact, even George, I think, has gone on record trying to say, "Oh, this is not it's not a Star Wars museum. It's a big museum. It's narrative art, whatever, blah blah blah." And then the first picture I saw the other day was the N1 starfighter hanging in the lobby.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, all right, okay, it's funny.
So when he did that panel over at San Diego Comic-Con, dude, I'm telling you, it was nuts. Like, there's actually someone that was, it was so funny because I was in the press box and I looked over and I just saw this guy dressed up as a lightsaber. He was like, he like had like a lightsaber hilt and then like a huge, like just giant like blade coming like up top. And then he was just walking around like this. And then during the thing, I remember, I think Doug Chang or like someone just kind of like nudged George and was like, "Do you see that giant lightsaber?" And he says something along the lines of like, "Oh, I I could not miss that or something like that, because it also was lighting up like during the panel. It was so funny.
God.
But the crowd and the anticipation for this was so cool, because we knew what, of having the involvement of George Lucas. Like, we knew there was going to be some Star Wars element to it, but it was really cool. And of the way that he explained it, and of the passion that he had in his voice while he was talking about it. So that got me really, really excited. And the fact that, he had Doug Chang up there as well, kind of putting his input into the conversation about it, was just fantastic. And just seeing George in person again, like, that might be one of the last times that we see him like at Comic-Con. So of just him just being there was so cool. I've got a feeling he'll probably be at Star Wars Celebration. It would be weird if he wasn't, because he was at the 40th anniversary. So
he will.
Hopefully he'll. Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet my life savings that a majority of the legacy cast, I mean, even Harrison Ford, I promise you, they will most likely be there. I'm not a betting man, but I'd bet everything.
Yeah. For the 40th anniversary for 2017, it's so funny because I know so many people that went, but we weren't friends at the time. So like, for example, like Hunter was at a decent amount of the same panels that I was at, but we didn't.
Where was it at? Anaheim, Orlando?
It was in Orlando. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and being at that 40th anniversary panel was so cool because George Lucas, Harrison Ford, a decent amount of the original trilogy cast was there. And then, they ended up with like John Williams doing the Leia theme, and of just the ending score of A New Hope. And it was awesome. It was really, really cool. And then when they did, the Lucasfilm panel in 2022, and John Williams was there doing the score for Indiana Jones, and they also did the score for I think it was Duel of Fates, but it was really cool seeing them in person, of just seeing things that you are so used to seeing on screen, and then seeing them in person is just a whole different vibe. So that was just an awesome experience. So seeing George on stage was super cool. And who knows, but I think you're right. I think we'll see him and Harrison over at Star Celebration. So
and I'm granted, I'm setting my expectations too high, but I genuinely think if you can imagine a major player in the Star Wars universe, an actor, anybody that you can think of, they will likely at least be at Celebration. And I mean, this is 50 years. This is a massive opportunity. I mean, a lot of these, I can't imagine any of these actors, anybody, and it's so crazy to think, but anybody in the Star Wars universe will be around for the 100th. So this is huge.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And then we also have the interesting news. Speaking of George Lucas, is that he will be appearing in the Minions and Monsters movie. News has come out recently that he actually is a big fan of the Minions. So my question to you is, what character do you think, what role do you think he's going to voice in that? I can see him voicing like a minion.
I would say, do you know what the story is about? Have you seen any of the trailers or anything like that?
So from my understanding is that the Minions are setting out to make a big oh my gosh, I just thought of this. Why on earth did not think of this? But they are setting out to make like a big like monster movie because they're like fans of different movies and they want to. So you know what? It makes sense if maybe George just played himself.
I was gonna say there's a very decent chance that we see just George being himself, but like, I've never been crazy about Despicable Me or any of the Minions, but I will say, and it's embarrassing to admit this out loud, but George Lucas might single-handedly get me to go see this movie. It's just the reality. I am curious. The story is interesting. Man.
That comes out on July 1st, which ironically we were just talking about this too. On that day is the birthday of Indiana Jones. So in a way, that's kind of like Indiana Jones Day. But so that's funny because George Lucas had a huge involvement with Indiana Jones too. So Yeah, man. There is a lot to look forward to. This fall, I will be going over to Rhode Island, uh, Rhode Island Comic Con. They have a huge Star Wars lineup over there. I just found out that they are going to have a huge Avatar in the Last Airbender presence there as well, which is super cool. So there is definitely a lot to look forward to at that con. It'll be my first time going, so I'm super excited for that. And then not only do we have Rebel Scum Con happening, we have Boonta Eve. This will also be your first Boonta Eve that you're going to. Yeah. So it's I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but it's a very cool environment because you go in, it's this karaoke bar setting, so you never know who will go up to the mic and do karaoke. It was really cool to see David Collins and Matthew Wood do karaoke.
That would be cool.
Yeah, of them doing karaoke last year. They have a VIP section, and then they have like a section of where there's also a bunch of different Star Wars actors that will be doing a signing there as well, including one of the Max Rebos, which I'm super excited about. She did the puppeteering stuff for the Book of Boba Fett, but yeah, so I'm excited. Yeah. That will definitely be a fun time. And this is also Hunter Smoke's first time too. I just can't wait to see you. Like, I can't wait to see you guys experience this. Because it really is a fun environment, and there are a lot of cool people that are going. And not only do they have Star Wars actors going, but they have people that are involved, in the Star Wars universe. Such as people part of the performing team, stunt team, people who worked over at Industrial Light and Magic. Like, they have a huge lineup between Boonta Eve and Rebel Scum Con. So it is definitely going to be a huge event for Star Wars fans that they really don't want to miss.
I'm excited because when you do social media and when you play this content game, regardless of the following you have, whether it's a few thousand or it's 100,000 or whatever, it's really cool to get in these environments where you see these people in person, because this online personas that you build up about people, I mean, you can miss so much. Social media it's not real, as we all know. And so I have a lot of friends that the difference between Celebration 2022 is I didn't post content. I really wasn't in the whole game. I didn't really have any like friends in that sphere. And so now to be in an environment where I'm going to know literally probably almost half the people that show up for this convention, I'm really excited to be in the same environment for the first time with a lot of these people that I've had close conversations with, I've had personal conversations with. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. It's and the great thing about Star Wars is that it brings so many people together. So it's been super great getting to meet new people these past couple of years. I met Noah through the 501st, and then we became friends with there, and same with Hunter and all that stuff. So you never know who you'll meet in this community. It's just,
you never know.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I'm trying to I think that's the main Star Wars news. We covered ground super quick.
Yeah, so we burned through it. It's what fascinates me about the current time frame that we're in, especially I want to say as a content creator, but even as a fan. May was a nutty month. That was the month where I even if I didn't have, because my problem with content creation is I only want to make something if I'm creative or I'm really feeling a passion behind it. And when you have The Mandalorian and Grogu, a movie release, regardless of the impacts that it had on the universe, when you have a movie coming out like that, no matter what, you are on overtime because there's so much inspiration from the community, from other people posting. Yeah. And so it's really weird that we're we hit our peak in the roller coaster. And then now we're just back at this, it's this caffeine dump of a position where we're all just now what? It's quiet. It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, like I said in the beginning of it, it's kind of like the calm before the storm. I mean, it's nice seeing different channels to and of what we're doing right now, where it's just we're talking about the things that are upcoming, but it's also nice to kind of reminisce about the cool things, you know, that we've experienced and like all that stuff. So you know, that's what keeps this franchises alive, is like we're all talking about it. And like even during this downtime. So yeah, it's super super cool. Is there any big projects or like anything that you're currently working on? I know there's something that you and me and a couple other people are working on, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, so we can't talk about that just yet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But nothing really big that I'm working on currently at this moment. There's like I said, it's a really awkward, quiet period. It's been it's been a relaxing. I'm really looking forward. I wish this pod racing game were like out now.
Dude, yeah.
But I think Rebel Scum Con, as of right now, is going to be the biggest thing to look forward to for at least us. I don't know about the whole Star Wars fandom as a whole, because I know not everyone is making it out to Frisco, Texas. And that's no disrespect to the Frisco, Texas tourist population, but by all means, I will say that if you do decide to end up in Frisco in August, that's when the convention is, right? Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yep. Wow.
Even though there is a theme park that just recently opened up out there that people are talking about, this is still the best attraction that you can go to in Frisco, Texas right now. So
I haven't. So I've seen some things like it, but it's not like you're like, it's a new Universal Park, but you have to think it's not like Universal Studios. It's not like Islands of Adventure or anything like that. This is, would you say it's probably more of a kids park? I would probably.
You want my honest opinion?
Sure.
I think that park, from everything that I have seen from the influencer and press initial preview, looks like if the Soviet Union built a theme park, that is what that theme park would look like. I have never seen just a larger mass of concrete misery outside of the Soviet Union than I have in this park. It is legitimately, I don't know if you've seen the previews, if you want to take a look on Twitter. I don't normally try to rag on theme parks, especially because I am a Universal pass holder. I'm a lover of everything Universal. I live not very far away, and I go weekly. I just upgraded the premium pass even, so I love Universal, don't get me wrong, but this park is like the Kwame Brown of theme parks. It's like the Minnesota Vikings or the Detroit Lions of theme parks. It's not good.
Whoa, that's crazy.
It's not pretty. It's hideous. Whoever was involved with that park, get them, gone, fired, boom, never to be working on theme parks again. I love Universal, I really do, but I don't know what happened. It's not good. Also, you'll see.
Bringing in the Detroit Lions is crazy. I know we've had a couple of bad seasons, but come on, man.
Yeah, come on, a couple.
We'll get there at some point.
Someday.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying this year, because I just don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Wouldn't hold your breath.
We're hanging in there. But yeah. Shoot, yeah. I forgot. So for Galactic Racer, and I know this is a weird segue because we're going backwards. But in that game, you can actually race in classic pod racers. So you can do like Sabova's pod racer. It's not confirmed if you can customize your actual pod racer, but gamers were given the opportunity to play in arcade mode, and that's where you could do the pod racing. So I don't know if they didn't show where you could customize your pod racer, because maybe that happens near the end of the game. But that's really cool that you're able to.
I'm assuming with the story mode, they'll have plenty of that customization, which that's honestly what I'm most excited for. Is we get a lot of these multiplayer experiences in like a half-baked single player. So I really hope they actually take the time and give us something quality with that, because single player Star Wars is some of the best video game content you can ever get.
Yeah.
And so if they really go all in and make this, and that's my only fear about this video game, is I don't want them to get the wrong idea that if it financially doesn't do well, because the people that will play this game, I have no doubts, as long as it's good, will love it. Oh. So I'm hopeful.
I think Star Wars Outlaws is a very underrated game, because it did get a lot of hate, but I started playing it, and then I pre-ordered it and I beat it like near opening weekend, and I was just like, this is a good game. My only thing is I only wish I could make my own character. That was my like big thing about that game, was I really wish I could make the character. I didn't mind the era it was taking place. I didn't mind the different gameplay stuff. There is a lot happening in that game. I will say that. Like, I don't think there's that many people that have actually beaten the game 100%, because there is a lot of different side missions and stuff like that you need to do in that game, and it takes a lot of time. But I really enjoyed the game. I think Kay Vess in that game, she was a cool character, but my biggest thing is I wish I could make my own character in that game so I could explore these planets that we know, and of the newer planets that we were meeting. Playing Sabak was cool. Yeah, I just want an open world game like that where I can make my own character. That's like my dream Star Wars game, honestly.
Yeah, that was one of my initial criticisms that I had actually gotten a pretty large amount of flack for. But when Star Wars Outlaws first came out, I have been pretty vocal, and one of the few people that had said that, well, I mean, this is great and all, but I feel like this game would be ripe and prime for a game that could have a customizable protagonist that we can have. And a lot of people were saying, well, why did you say this with the Fallen Order? You're saying it's because it's a woman protagonist, and that has by no means nothing to do with it.
No.
When Fallen Order had come out, as much as I enjoyed the story and as much as I enjoyed everything about that game, and it works having your own predetermined character.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans, and specifically Star Wars gamers, have been begging for an experience where you can create your own character to live out whatever you would like in this universe. And every single open world game that comes out, every single time people talk about, well, I'd like a Star Wars version of this. Funny enough, it happens with Grand Theft Auto. I want an open world Star Wars where I can be like this or whatever and drive around and steal speeders and throw people off or whatever. And then Skyrim came out. It's like, I want an open world Star Wars. Like, it's every single time there's an open world customizable experience, people want that. And so I've been asking that for my entire life. And I just feel like every single game that comes out, I can still enjoy it for what it is, but I'm begging for us to get a customizable experience that allows me, myself, to live out what I want in the Star Wars universe. And that was my biggest problem with Outlaws. I did see that there's a resurgence of popularity in Outlaws. It pops up on Reddit quite frequently of people who are like, okay, like I didn't give this game a chance initially, and I went back and tried it, and I actually quite liked it. I feel like I'm one of the only few people on the planet that did play it and just wasn't crazy about it. I can see how people enjoyed it, but the stealth, the combat just wasn't all that great to me. And I think it was the only Star Wars game outside of whatever the pilot one that just came out not too long ago. Squadrons. Yeah, that was the only other game where I was like, okay, I'm bored. And I legitimately, I think, fell asleep while playing Outlaws. So I could not get into it. I don't know what it was.
There was actually a really cool element where, like, if you were, because, you are a character that's a smuggler. So you are doing these different side missions for like the different crime families, right? So if you finish something for the Hutts, you would have a chance to be where you could betray the Hutts, or you could be in favor of Crimson Dawn. And then that would build your reputation that you have with certain crime families. If your reputation was super low, then those then that crime family in particular would send thugs after you until you got your reputation up. So I like the system that they had in there. I love traveling across the galaxy. I love doing that stuff. So in the future, I would love to see more of something like something with like the open world. There's a game called Lord of the Rings not War in the North, but Lord of the Rings Shadow of War. That game had something called a
bounty system, or I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
A nemesis system. So if you fought like an orc or something, and if you took them out, they would either like die or come back and they would want revenge. Or if they took you out and then you came back, like that would like build their reputation, and then they would go higher up in the ranks and stuff like that. And they haven't touched that. patent in such a long time, because they actually patent it so no other studio can use it, which stinks because that was such a cool thing that they came up with. And I think if they came up with that, like an open world Star Wars game, you're on the streets. Like, I mean, one big game that, a lot of fans were very disappointed in, that never actually saw the light of day, except through, different leaks and stuff, is 1313. That was such a cool game. And
very cool.
Yeah. And it was just a bummer that we never got to see something like more of it. And we've had hints, like, of here and there through it, and different Easter eggs throughout the different Star Wars TV shows and stuff. But that game was gonna change like a lot of how we look at Star Wars games. So it's a shame that we never actually got more of that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that time frame of Boba Fett's life is something that absolutely needs to be explored a little bit more. So I hope someday we get some type of visitation into it. But that was that. And I will say Battlefront 3, the original Battlefront 3, or maybe even EA's, but I don't think that one was ever even going to be. I don't think that one even began development. But the original Star Wars Battlefront 3, that's a real missed opportunity right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's been, they kind of put it into like Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadrons, and
yes,
and there was like Renegade Squadron and like all that stuff, but like those like Star Wars Battlefront games were so cool. And even with the newer ones, like, yes, it had a rough start because of, they were doing a pay to play system, but they heard the fans and they fixed it right away. And I was really bummed near the end of when they were like, hey, we are going to focus on the new Battlefield. And then
it's insane.
Right. Which was absolutely nuts to me, because of the gameplay trailer was cool. But the game overall, I was like, you stop making Battlefront for this?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, because even the people working on the EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 were like, we were doing Coruscant. We were about to add Ahsoka and Ventress. Like, we were about to add so much more. And I'm just like, oh, man, like, come on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was an all-time fumble on EA, because that Battlefield, it wasn't even critically received well. It was not a good game. The most recent one I actually really enjoyed, but that Battlefield that they stopped development on Star Wars Battlefront 4, it's really unfortunate, because, and this might be a hot take, but the Star Wars Battlefront 2, yes, when it launched, was one of the worst Star Wars games ever, but I've never seen a game turn around so quickly. And I mean, granted, it got fan backlash. I think it was responsible for, the most downvoted comment in YouTube or Reddit history, something like that. If I'm not just making that up, if you remember, but there was a legitimate and serious fan backlash that really gave us then what the Battlefront 2 that we as fans, I think, deserved. And I borderline dare say that I think it was just overall a better game than the original Battlefront 2. And I don't want to say that out loud quite frequently many times, but like, once it was properly updated, that game was special. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, my thing about Star Wars games is, yes, I love customizing my character. I love going in space. I love having a lightsaber. I love doing all these, different things. But when you have a multiplayer game like that, and like you're hanging out with the homies and you're playing, a Star Wars game where, you're like reliving the Clone Wars, like you would be able to board a separatist dreadnought, go on there, and then, try and
it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome to like do that with friends, and you still can technically, but just doing that at launch was awesome. That was so cool. So yeah, I just want more games like that where I can play online games with friends and where we're having a good time. And I think with Galactic Racer, I mean, yeah, you are racing against each other, but just being in the same lobby and just being like, okay, let's sign up to do this race, and they'll have tournaments and all that stuff. So I am super, super excited, dude.
I pray to God this game does well, because I think, unfortunately, I mean, even racing games like the good ones like F1 and NASCAR and Forza might be the most popular as of right now, but that's just because it's Forza Horizons is a completely different world. I really, really hope this game does well, but I just don't know if we're currently in an era of gaming where those types of games aren't necessarily going to be that popular. And that's not to say that this game is going to, it has nothing against this game. I think it's going to be really good. I just don't know if fans are currently in the mental space for racing video games like this, especially a niche one. Whereas back in the PlayStation 2 era, I mean, these games popped off. People really love these games. I hope to God I'm wrong, because I really want this game to succeed, but we'll see.
Yeah. The other great thing too is that the actor who played Sebulba in in the Phantom Menace, and he did Sebulba throughout all the other different games and stuff like that. He's coming back for Galactic Racer, and he's actually going to be at Rebel Scum Con.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited to sit down and talk with him about the new game coming out, because I am super excited about this game. I'm just glad, like, any Star Wars game that comes out, I get excited about, because we're adding more to the overall story. So it really is going to be super cool. We know this takes place after the events of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So I
didn't know Sebulba would still be alive by then.
I mean, from the different trailers, like, it seems like, you know, he has retired well. He's like wearing kind of like these like fancy kind of garments,
dripped out.
You know? Yeah. And we know that Ben Quantanaris will be there. I really would love if we actually learn. So there's a character. His name is Mars Guo. Some people call him Mars Guo. He's the guy where, like, Sebulba throws the wrench and he goes "Rawr!" Like he's that guy. I would love if, like, somehow, like, he made it. I would love to see more of the original pod racers of those guys coming back. Would be super cool.
Did you watch the gameplay yet?
I did.
From what I saw in arcade mode, the thing that I thought was really cool, and I just saw this feed. I don't remember if it was Will that posted it. Someone did. That's more research than me. But the UI is actually the same exact format as it was in the original Racer pod racer game, which I thought was really cool. I was like, huh. And I mean, yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But that was a cool little touch. The only thing that I will say that I was a little worried about after watching the gameplay footage, it seemed like, I don't know if you'd noticed, but they'd have, like, the pod racer, like, if you pass a pod racer, like, a little, like, pop-up will pop of them, and then, like, some voice line with, like, and it's just like, it's like every time after you pass.
Oh, and I mean, it. There could be a settings thing where maybe you could turn that off.
I hope that frequency does come down, because that's the only thing I was noticing. Like, especially when you're Sebulba and you're just zooming by people, it's like over and over. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. The other thing cool. The other cool thing too is that you can go in first person as well.
Oh yeah, the game looked so good.
Yeah,
but you know, pretty.
You just need to be careful going around corners, because it's not like you hit that corner, and of the way that the gamers were explaining it, and from some of the gameplay, if you're going around the corner and you hit the corner pretty hard, you're done. You're like toasted. Like, you're like, you know, Racer will explode, you know, in slow motion, like what they did with Burnout, which is also super cool. I love that they're adding the element, because my older brother and I used to play Burnout Revenge all the time when we were kids. So
destruction and the ramming people off the road was so fun. It was so cool.
Yeah. So that's probably one of my biggest, like, in anticipated games this year, besides Grand Theft Auto 6. And the new Wolverine game, just because I did like the Spider-Man games. So
yeah, I say I'm excited for all the above. I had Grand Theft Auto 6. Oh boy.
That will be bringing so many people out of retirement, because I know, like, my of my group of friends from, like, my hometown, like, as soon as, like, they did the pre-sales, some of them were just like, okay, so, like, are we getting, like, the Ultimate Edition when they do it? They're also not doing discs, which is really interesting.
Can we go into that? I know this is primarily a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So
You can talk about games.
they haven't necessarily gone all in on saying that there won't be a disc version yet.
Okay.
But I'm extremely nervous. I think gaming is obviously a very, very different industry than it was when we were kids.
Yep.
What I will say in our current stage, and I'm noticing this towards movies, and I think it might actually swing back with video games, is people are starting to go back to physical media. People are tired of the subscription services that are basically now just like paying a cable bill. And people are kind of realizing they're paying a lot of money for things that they don't necessarily need. And so I'm not happy about that. And just initial reactions, because we need a disc. I don't know if there's a physical aspect where they can't get that much storage onto the disc. I don't think that's the reality. We need a disc. I've also heard rumors that there won't be maps included, like all of the other GTAs. In the case, and I think that's a really serious red flag. But my biggest problem is, and I really hope that Rockstar gives some clarification about this, I've noticed that certain elements, as of right now, if you do buy that $100 Ultimate Edition versus the $80, I saw that you get access to certain businesses and other different like interior spaces. And the way that it's currently worded right now, if you buy the standard edition, you don't get that. Now, what I believe is going to happen, and I hope this is the case because they haven't clarified, is that when you pay the $100, you're just getting immediate free access but you're just getting that by paying the extra $20. But what is currently people are not happy about is they're kind of under the impression that it's just behind a paywall, so that if you don't pay the $20 extra for that, you don't get it at all.
Huh.
And so if that's the case, and I had zero doubts that Grand Theft Auto, especially after the immense financial success that Grand Theft Auto 5 brought them over the past 10 years, with people buying shark cards and people wanting to get all the houses and everything like that, I am really fearful that this game is going to turn into a microtransaction fest. Because my biggest problem with the latest updates with Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't know if you've still played it, but every single time there's an update, you have to spend money in order to take part in those levels. And that has been a major point of frustration to me. Because it's like, I just don't want this to turn into a microtransaction fest.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, there's also like a new Lord of the Rings. It says something went wrong with your webcam.
Yep. Give me one moment. Bring it back.
All right. Yeah, all good. I think for me, I'm just having a big open world Star Wars game would just be phenomenal. Like I've been saying for years, just do a Grand Theft Auto style of Star Wars. Have a couple of planets, like kind of like what they did in Outlaws, like of just have the same concept of Outlaws, but make it Grand Theft Auto. That would be like sick. That would be so cool. Where you'd be able to customize your ship, customize your character, change your different alien species. In Star Wars Zero Company, you will be able to do that. You'll be able to choose like of different members of your squad, and like of just being where you can just do that and then travel across the galaxy to like different planets, play online with friends. If you want to own a moisture farm, you can own that. If you want to start like your own like speeder bike gang, or you want to, become a bounty hunter, become a smuggler, join the Rebel Alliance, like join the Empire, like you have those options. That would be so cool if you were able to do that and just playing online. And Star Wars Outlaws to me is a fine example that they have the tools to do that. They could 100% do that if they wanted to. Just change different things in the environment, like make it to where you can interact with the NPCs more, and then just make it multiplayer. And Star Wars Outlaws would be like, I think that game is just a perfect example that a Grand Theft Auto style Star Wars game could definitely work.
It could. And this is the toughest thing to go about it, because Outlaws is there, but it also is not at the same time. When it comes to creating an open world in Star Wars, there is so much space that you would have to you'd have to, first of all, limit the planets. You by no means could include every single planet, but in order to make such a vast universe with vast planets feel actually lived in, the amount of work that it would take to create a universe, a video game world that you can play in, I mean, it's a daunting task to even think about, even from like we are no game designers by any means, but like just to try to process how to make a Star Wars galaxy feel open, feel free, and at the same time also then provide a quality story, provide, you know, different options for you, because a story for a bounty hunter is very much different than a story for a Jedi, and someone who wants to go that path. So that's I mean, it's a daunting task, and so I can understand why it hasn't been made yet, but they definitely have the tools, and if they had the resources and the money, they're going to make their money back. I have no doubt.
Yeah. I think it will happen, just not anytime soon. I mean, who knows? Star Wars Celebration might be the place where, like, hey, you know, we are doing the third game in the franchise for like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, and then, you know, we've got this big open world Star Wars game that we're working on, and we're like, yay! Like that would be cool. That would be honestly awesome. Just because, you know, I think a dream of Star Wars fans is just to hop online, do the open world stuff that we talked about, and just hang out with friends. I think that's like just a big thing for just gamers and just Star Wars fans all alike that would just really, really enjoy, and they would make so much money off of that if they did it, like hands down.
They would. Star Citizen is a great example of what you could do, especially because Star Citizen was crowdfunded, and that's a whole different story with all that's problems. But like, this is a company that has the financial backing, could absolutely get studios together to make this happen. So I'm really hoping that someday, like I said, daunting process, because like, for example, like a Middle Earth game, like something in the Lord of the Rings world, I was not crazy about Shadow of Mordor just because I didn't want to stick to Mordor. That was just me personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But it's a lot harder. Whereas like the Lord of the Rings, I mean, there's already a defined map. Game of Thrones, there's already a defined map where there's borders and everything like that, and you can easily stick to that. Whereas Star Wars, I mean, you have different planets. It would be hard. It's doable, but it's hard.
Stick to like 3 or 4 planets, kind of like what they did with Outlaws. Like, you can go to planets. I mean, Tatooine is super cool. You've got Tashara, you've got Akiva. I mean, when you're in Outlaws and you go out into the Dune Sea and you have a Krayt dragon chasing after you, dude, that's awesome. There's been times where I'm wanted by the Empire and the Empire's chasing me, and you have those transport ships and speeder bikes coming after you, and then all of a sudden a Krayt dragon shows up. It's so cool to be in that action of just being, oh my gosh, like there's so much going on. So like, just all that kind of stuff would be so cool. Like, of going to Coruscant would be awesome. Like, yes, there would be an extent of what you could do because Coruscant is such a massive planet. So like, have like, you know, a different place of like the upper parts of Coruscant, and then, you know, and then you could go to the underworld and do different missions there, meet different people and stuff like that. Like, there is a lot of different potential that they could do. It's just a matter of time, man.
Yeah. Someday. Holding out for it.
Someday. But yeah, shoot, dude. I think that's it. I think we covered a lot. There's a lot to look forward to for Star Wars. Noah, where can these fine people find you on?
They can find me. It's my name, Noah J. Maurer. It's going to be Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, I guess, even though I don't really use that platform anymore. And yeah, everywhere else, you'll find me very easily.
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw this comment from our friend. I think
I'll pass, Nathan. I'll pass.
Oh, and then we also had someone comment on your helmet.
Oh hell! Oh man! You know, Kevin's an interesting guy. You know, he pisses me off. He's one of the. He is like the gold standard for Anakin Skywalkers in this community. He makes the best. He will be making mine here shortly, which is why cool. I will praise him and give him all the fluff that he needs. But that man has awful opinions when it comes to Darth Vader. I can't deal with it. I can't do it. He says, he swears up and down that A New Hope is the best costume, and it's not even top 2. It's not. He thinks A New Hope is the best version of Darth Vader. I don't know why. He insists on it. But nobody wants that silly bathrobe Darth Vader. I'm not hearing you out, man. Kevin, come on. No.
Tell us how you really feel. But yeah.
It's getting me riled up. That's what he does.
Hey. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, so looking forward to what's on the horizon, and you know, super excited, you know, for the future. If you will be at Rebel Scum Con, if you'll be over at Boonta Eve, me and
Say
Noah
hi.
will be there, including with a bunch of the team over at Virtual Cantina Network. And then I will be over at Rhode Island. I'll be over at San Diego Comic-Con again this year. Camping out in those lines, getting ready to go into Hall H because it's going to be nuts. And I'll be with Countdown City Geeks as well. So yeah, so stay tuned for all the great news. Thank you so much for watching. May the force be with you forever and always.
Oh,